The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 8th day of October, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we're able to pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Well, folks, I'm Jamel Hartman, and we'll have a news break from Teo Dill in a bit, brought to you by Peoples. It's hump day. It's the middle of the traditional work week. How's everyone feeling? It's Q4, I think, or heading into Q4. Yeah, it is Q4. Yeah, it's Q4. How's everyone feeling today? I haven't heard anyone talking about like pumpkin or Halloween or candy season. Like, are you all just tired from cotbatch still or something? Like, what's going on? Everyone's drained, just ready. I will say this. I saw a post the other day. And it said, don't worry if you've yet to accomplish something you wanted to this year. We've still got 3 months to go. You still have enough time. So don't feel discouraged and just lock in and get it done. And I felt that was encouraging. Because at the end of the day, some people's goals may be so small, they accomplish them in the first 2 months of the year. And your goals may have been so big that it was going to take steps and more time. So don't feel discouraged. All right. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday to everyone. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Lisa Reed on from the Human Rights Commission. Folks, they've been doing a lot of work. Going to be sharing some of the work from their study about the disability and inclusion report. So looking forward to, from their annual report. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. Always an interesting conversation when discussing the rights of individuals. So get your questions and comments ready. The daily play is going to be music today. So you all were pretty good last week. You got that. What was last week? I think I had it somewhere still. Yeah, it was Biggie. Where was Biggie going back to? And he was actually heading back to Cali. Yeah, so got another one. Hip hop again today. See if you all get this hip hop one. But also, folks, do us a favor. If you are online or if you have a device close to you, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's jump into today's discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Folks, these are your questions of the morning, and I'll tell you why in a second. What are your thoughts on offering more flexible immigration/work visa policies in Bermuda to attract high-skilled professionals impacted by President Trump's HB1 visa attack? I'll kind of tell you about that in a few. And then just the short answer is, what would you support more flexible immigration/work visa policies in Bermuda to attract high-skilled professionals? That's just a yes or no. That's a simple yes or no. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with what the HB1 visa is, it's a program in the U.S., right? It's a work visa program in the U.S. that allows American companies to hire skilled foreign professionals, usually in fields like technology, medicine, engineering, education, when they can't find qualified local workers. So pretty much it's how, our system kind of works now with just workers, right? If they're unable to find people, companies can, I guess, apply for work permits to bring people in. But this is a bit different because this is designed to fill talent gaps and strengthen innovation by letting experts from around the world temporarily work in the U.S. often for like 3 to 6 years. Many international graduates. This is where I think ours differs. This is the HB1 visa focuses on those who are graduates from U.S. universities. And the universities kind of rely on the HB1B visa programs as well, allowing students to stay and work after finishing their studies. There are many who have benefited from H1B visa programs. So a recent Forbes article, it was basically saying that some top 25 universities will take a big hit. And it may hurt universities dependent on international students or faculty. Now, the question is, what are your thoughts on offering more flexibility for immigration? Now, we're talking about attracting the best. Now, keep in mind, I believe I read somewhere that people like, what's the Tesla guy? Elon Musk benefited from H-1B visas. Now, regardless how you feel about his politics, the man touches some really great things, some things that turn into really great products and stuff. Also, just giving you some like what could Bermuda learn, or how can we benefit from it, right? What do you think? Because for the US, to give context, it's a loss for them. You know, they're losing top talent, right? From abroad. And that's not just like in the technology fields or medicine fields, but research, faculty, right? It could also impact the US as far as revenue, reduce revenue from international student fees and programs, right? We never hear it, but the US generates a lot of revenue from foreign students, right? And a lot of students go to the US for education with a goal of starting their careers in the US. This will impact that. It also can create less diversity if fewer cross-border collaborations and weaken global competitiveness, right? So how could Bermuda like learn and benefit from a similar strategy, right? One of the things that we can do is attract and retain skilled talent. If Bermuda relaxed immigration and work visa policies for high-skilled professionals, researchers, technologists, it could attract talent to strengthen local institutions such as Bermuda College, research and development, tech sectors. You know, we keep talking about, the government used to always talk about fintech, right? This could be something that could help. It also helps build domestic capacity and reduces brain drain, right? We're always talking about brain drain. Having some of the world's best working alongside Bermudians, I mean, that could be a great thing. Promotional, educational, and research partnerships, right? Bermuda College can seek even more partnerships, I should say, with foreign institutions, exchange programs, visiting faculty. Maybe the government can make deals with certain universities, top universities, where we will offer specific visa like work opportunities in Bermuda on behalf of those companies, right? Maybe those companies can, like the many in Silicon Valley, can set up shop in Bermuda, which is not far from the US, where they can offer those kind of work programs to the elite in the areas that we need them. I don't know. Those are just ideas. We can literally make the island a hub for US graduates from around the world to come here. And instead of playing for an HB1 visa, we can get them apply for a work-like visa in Bermuda. We need people, folks. Another option was diversifying revenue and student base. I think many of us have always said we have so many Bermudians going overseas to school. You know, we can encourage international students, right, as well as Bermudians abroad to study locally. Like, this is something that, look, going to the US used to be a great thing, used to be less expensive. You didn't have to worry about all the politics, right? And then afterwards, you got an opportunity to have your OPT, the work authorization. And then if your company liked you well enough, they can apply for an HB1 visa. Well, now that other international students from other spaces, but also Bermudians may not see the same opportunities, that's an opportunity for us to promote Bermuda as that destination to work, to learn and then work and gain experience. Also, using the remote hybrid learning to reach global students could be supported by flexible visa immigration policies. I don't know how many classes Bermuda College offers like that, but offer them opportunities to come to Bermuda to work after they've completed their studies with Bermuda College. Policy safeguards against external shocks. This is going to take, it's going to be a delicate balance, because what we don't want to do is destabilize Bermudians and Bermudian institutions. So we're going to have to put in place some policies that guard the integrity of the workforce for Bermuda and Bermudians. But also, it gives us an opportunity to promote self-reliance by investing in local talent development so the local system is less vulnerable. And also, as far as reputation and branding, by promoting itself as a welcoming place for high-skilled immigrants and scholars, Bermuda could enhance its brand as a knowledgeable economy, not just a tourism or finance hub. So potential benefits for Bermuda to do this, there are many, but what are your thoughts, audience? What do you feel? Again, would you support Bermuda taking advantage of the H-1B visa attack that's taken place in the US? And if you're unfamiliar, pretty much the H-1B visa program is something that President Trump feels that it's not fair to Americans. People have come into there and taken jobs from locals. We've had issues like this in Bermuda where Bermudians feel like they're not getting jobs. But let's be honest, we need nurses. How many Bermudians are qualified nurses, right? So that's an example where we can benefit from focusing on those who would have otherwise gotten things. But what are your thoughts, audience? Would you support more flexible immigration work visa policies in Bermuda to attract high-skilled workers? Just a yes or no. Yes or no. In your field, whatever field, actually, audience, what field do you work in? This will help. This will help. What field do you work in? Just let us know what field you work in. Because again, this actually H-1B visa program is really focused on specific areas, right? As I mentioned, technology, medicine, engineering, education. So it's really focused on specific areas. If you're in technology, how do you feel about us targeting those who could be impacted by President Trump's attack on the H-1B visas? What are your thoughts? Misha Fabla says, isn't it H-1B? Well, what is he talking about? I'm not sure. We've got WKD Lama says, that would be a great idea, especially if a Google project proceeds. I am in IT. Okay, so from an IT perspective, WKD Lama understands that it could be a good idea for Bermuda and the government to kind of focus on HB1, H-1B visas. Have I been saying HB1? H-1B visa people. Let's see. We've got Rhonda Trott says 100 against. No certified nursing assistant. Bermuda don't have an issue attaching skilled labor. We need more solutions to get Bermudians into the workforce. We do, though, because we have a shortage of nurses at the hospital, right? Bermudian nurses, right? It's mainly a lot of people from the West Indies that I can think of. And as far as skilled workers, do we have enough IT people? Do we have? I want us to think Silicon Valley. This is who a lot of, I guess, benefits the most from the H-1B visa program. That's who benefits the most from it, right? So I think it's bigger than just people taking the work. But I do take Rhonda Trott's point. She makes a great point that we need more solutions to get Bermudians into the workforce. Could this not be a solution to get Bermudians into the workforce, to have them working alongside some of the world's best? I mean, hate to say it, but some of the world's best are located in Silicon Valley, and many of those in Silicon Valley are beneficiaries of the H1B visa program. What else, audience? So we've got WKD Lama, who's in IT, and says, yeah, great idea. Okay. We've got Rhonda Trott says 100 against. No certified nursing assistant. We've got Suzanne Ingham says, I don't know how I feel about it, Jamal. I need to hear more about it. I work in medical. We desperately need good RNs. Yeah. Like we all know that. Anyone who has been in that space or visit the hospital would know that the world, see, Rhonda Trott said it right here. Nurses are in demand worldwide. The college has a program. Yeah. They are in demand worldwide. And unfortunately, Bermuda's not in a position where we have an advantage anymore because of the housing crisis, because of the cost of living. So we're not really in a position to attract the best like we once were. But this could be an opportunity right here, moving in this space. I don't know. I'm not a professional. I'm not an immigration expert. I know we have some people who work in this space who tune into this show. But how many Bermudian pharmacists are there? We had if I'm not mistaken, we had a challenge recently. We didn't have an oncologist in Bermuda, right? So specific areas, we actually may need it. But Michael Daniels says there will need to be a balancing act that depends on the number of Bermudians who move into the hospitality positions that will be coming online. Definitely a balancing act. Definitely. How do we balance it? That's the question. How do we balance it? What else, audience? What are your thoughts on offering more flexibility as far as immigration and visa work policies in Bermuda to attract high-skilled professionals impacted by President Trump's attack on the H-1B visa programs? Also, would you, whatever field you're in, again, let us know what field you're in, would you support more flexible immigration/work visa policies in Bermuda to attract high-skilled professionals? Would you support more flexible immigration/work visa policies in Bermuda to attract high-skilled professionals? And folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Let us know. Rhonda Trott says, regarding Silicon Valley, I believe that if Bermuda could identify a niche product or need, it would be beneficial. However, in general, I think it would cause more harm than good. That's fair. Honestly, that's fair. But also, Rhonda Trott, I thought Bermuda had established a niche product in fintech. Honestly, I thought that, I would have been in favor. And I remember saying this to former Premier Greg Kennener, that instead of another hotel up on Morgan's Point, why don't we just have create our own Silicon Valley up there, like a technology hub. But of course, I didn't know much, so that was never going to move. But in saying that, I thought we had a niche product. I thought when the premier was driving fintech, that would be the thing to move us forward. But I take the final part of your comment is it causing more harm than good. And I think in Bermuda's case, you see a lot of Bermudians who can't find work because jobs may not be available in spaces that they're interested in working. And companies don't really want to invest in training people. They want people who can come in already. They want who they want. I'll leave it at that. Companies want who they want. So I take the point that it is a challenge already. It'd be interesting to see how it would proceed. Charles H. Jefferson II says, yes, we need more people in the workforce, but not just people here to work, make money, and send it home. He said, we need more people to contribute to our social economy as well. And I agree. But I'm pretty sure most people who were on H-1B visa programs were part of the communities. They were literally setting their lives up, and building their lives in these spaces, right? But I think what Charles is saying is that balance. You don't want to bring the best people to Bermuda who suck the money out of the economy, and then, or if they leave, they've taken everything that they made in Bermuda with them. The social economy, meaning they're part of the community, and not just from a sense of, I guess, donating a dollar here or there, or uh, you know, picking up trash or doing whatever for community like optics, but they're actually embedded in the community somehow. That's what I think that Charles is saying. So no, I appreciate that. I think this is interesting. I would love to hear the Minister of Labor and Economy speak on this to see whether there could be opportunities to focus on the H-1B visa program beneficiaries, and see if there's an opportunity for Bermudians to work alongside some of them. I don't know. I just thought it's worth a conversation, because if President Trump gets his way with that, the United States workforce could look very different very soon. And whenever that happens, I mean, Bermuda should always be there to see what opportunities that they can take if they become available. There's a balance though, and part of that is, we've said it on this show, many of you have said it time and time again, that as we seek to get more Bermudians back to the island, or get more people to Bermuda, bringing Bermudians back onto the island should be of most importance. So that's your daily discussion, brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. We're going to take a break to thank Titan and Secure. Then we'll have the news break with Teo. And don't forget, we've got our very special guest, Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission, coming up after that.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
Alrighty, folks. If you haven't already and you are streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to turn it over to Teo Dill for the news break. After that, we will send you off for a quick commercial break so you can get up and warm up your tea, and then we'll be back with Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission. Got a good conversation on the way.
Good morning, fam. I'm Teo Dill, and welcome to the TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples, who have everything you need to make the middle of this week move that much more smoothly. That is free parking, quick prescription support, and all the other great stuff you need to make hump day that much easier. In really sad news, 62-year-old Carlos Tavares has been confirmed as the person whose dead body was retrieved from the water close to Ducking Stool last weekend. As you'll recall, the incident took place last Friday afternoon. Reportedly, Mr. Tavares entered the water at the foot of the cliff just before 5 p.m. but did not resurface. Despite close to immediate attempts to locate Mr. Tavares, inclement weather conditions forced emergency responders to stop the search until the following day, when a passerby guided the search party to his body floating near where he'd originally gone missing. His body was recovered by the Regimental Coast Guard, taken to All Boys Point, where his death was certified by an on-call doctor. If you have any information that could help investigators learn more about this tragic incident, contact Sergeant Andy Beaupierre on 717-2166 or ABEAUPIERRE at bps.pm. And in other news, a more than century-old local business has bounced all the way back following a recent burglary and vandalism incident during Hurricane Imelda. Christen Jewelers has reopened its Queen Street store following these incidents, which a spokesperson said were facilitated by the vulnerability created by the recent severe weather conditions. Company director Peter Christen called the incident a, quote, setback, but we're grateful for the resilience and dedication of our team, who worked tirelessly to ensure we could reopen quickly and safely. Mr. Christen went on to ask the community to stand with the 100-plus-year-old locally owned company as partners in ensuring Bermuda remains a safe place to do business. Now, in some really, really, really good news, Bermuda College has just recorded its highest enrollment since the start of the pandemic, with nearly 600 students working on their post-secondary journey as of this fall. A BC rep explained that the 592 students also represent a 5% increase on the previous year, alongside a 10% bump in full-time equivalent students with a total of 534, which means more BC students are engaged and fully committed to their study path than has been the case for several years. New BC President Dr. David Sam called the enrollment increase deeply encouraging, saying it, quote, reflects the confidence students are placing in us as a destination for academic excellence, practical skills training, and meaningful career pathways. Another key highlight is that BC's Technical Education Division, aka the Trades, enrollment grew by 31%, which makes it the strongest of all of BC's divisions now, beating liberal arts and business. Now, one of the things that were not included in the BC statement was the gender gap. That is, how many men versus women were enrolled in the college. This matters because, as has been the case throughout the OECD, women and girls have been surpassing men and boys in academic achievement for about a generation. Now, here's the local data that hopefully underlines this point. In Bermuda's secondary schools, girls make up just over half of the student population, but a 2018 report indicated that close to 100% of girls graduated from Berkeley versus just 85% of boys. And as of 2013, Bermudian college and university enrollment also indicated that women outnumber men in that space with a 1.3 to 1 ratio between the genders. This means that things have definitely improved from the results found in the 2007 study, which indicated half of black boys in Bermuda who enroll in high school didn't graduate. However, the gap is clear and it's growing. Now, if it helps at all, we are, as is generally the case, not alone in this problem, as the academic achievement success split between girls and boys is showing up all the way across the entire developed world.
At the end of last year, researchers found women in the UK were 35% more likely to attend college than men, the widest difference yet for the annual report. To put it in perspective, the BBC reports if every man who applied to college was accepted automatically, there'd still be fewer men attending. The situation in the US is similar. Since 1996, American women between the ages of 25 and 34 have been more likely than their male counterparts to hold a bachelor's degree. And that trend has continued all the way through the end of last year.
All that said, in the developing world, that is to say in less economically developed countries, hundreds of millions of young women don't even have access to formal education, specifically and singularly due to their gender, which is essential to keep in mind when thinking about this issue. Now, weather-wise, things continue to look pretty great. That is, clear skies, minimal rain, relatively low temperatures. It's all due to a solid patch of northerly high pressure, keeping conditions pretty uncomplicated for the next couple days. Now, this is likely to change once we hit the weekend, as a cold front will bring more wind and rain our way. And between now and then, you can leave your rain jacket at the house, probably. That's your TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples. I'm Teo Dill. Thank you for hanging out, and back to the show.
All right, thanks so much for that, Tay. Well, folks, we've got quite a few days. It's International Podiatry Day. But I want to stop on International Newspaper Carrier Day. So, remember Paperboy, that game that we used to have, like on the was it Game Boy? Paperboy, where it was the most interesting game. You just try to deliver as many papers as possible. But anyway, International Paper Day, first recognized newspaper carrier was Barney Flaherty, who started his route at just 10 years old in 1833 after being hired by Benjamin Day, the publisher of the New York Sun. It marked the beginning of the newspaper carrier profession, which quickly became a common job for young people. Yeah, I think newspaper carrying was like what packing groceries is for Bermudians, right? One of the first jobs that young people had. That said, here's your question, audience. Do you all still purchase a newspaper? Yes or no? I'll tell you, I went somewhere yesterday and had me one of my mocktail beverages, found a little, water and Hill. And I was shocked that the man sitting on the same side as me, he was at the bar, and he was reading a newspaper. You just don't see that anymore. I was absolutely shocked to see a gentleman reading a newspaper at a bar. Even if he was reading news, I'm used to people like scrolling their phone looking at the news. That's what I do. I actually just scroll it. I remember we were in Vegas for the conference either this year or last year, and I saw some newspapers outside of some of the rooms. I guess the hotel asked, "Do you want newspaper delivered to your room?" It was just nothing wrong with it. I was just shocked, and it's encouraging. It was encouraging. What else? Charles Axe was the gentleman. He was an old white man. Yes, I'm believing he was probably over 75, but it was encouraging to see. It was very encouraging to see. But audience, do you still purchase a newspaper? Yes or no? Do you purchase a newspaper? Ms. Alan K. Horton says no. Kathy Del Ming says no. Sherilyn Johnson says no. I read online. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Seems common. And if you do, there's nothing wrong with doing it. I was fascinated seeing it yesterday. I was encouraged. I don't know why, but it took me back. It took me back. You know, it's like a child reading a book nowadays on a tablet, right? Versus reading a book with an actual book turning pages, right? Rosalind Famous says, I used to deliver papers. Yes, every once in a while, I still buy a paper. Okay, someone still buys a paper. I just remember Teo when we were at Hot 175. This guy literally every morning, and he would flip it so hard so the people on the radio knew he was reading it. He was so special. But the sound of the newspaper just always did something. So even hearing the man yesterday when he flipped the paper it takes you back. But anyway, nothing wrong with you still buying paper. Just trying to find out if you do. It is International Paper Carrier Day. Daxter Smith says, yes, he still does. I would hope so, sir. I would hope so. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and we've got Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission coming up. You don't want to miss this conversation. Get your questions and comments ready. We'll see you in a few. Stick with us.
Take a look at our workbook for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Nautical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
At HSBC, how we do business in our community is as important to us as what we do for our community.
We are here at Hunger Bay with HSBC today. We're planted over 500 mangroves using 2 different methods. This work is very vital for our mangrove ecosystem and would not be possible without HSBC's generous support.
I am super happy that we have a team here of colleagues helping us replant some of the mangroves. Mangroves are critical for preserving coastal nature, and with recent hurricanes they have been taken away by waves. By replanting them, we are really helping nature be at its best.
Thank you so much for HSBC for sponsoring the Microforce Project, but by extension, the Hungry Bay Restoration Project.
Thank you to all of the charities, corporate partners, and HSBC volunteers for your commitment to our community.
SCARS stands for Saving Children and Revealing Secrets, and we are a Bermuda nonprofit organization whose mission is to reduce the risk of child sexual abuse and to be an advocate and a voice for children who've been sexually molested, as well as their affected family. New media like the Daily Hour is really important in partnering with organizations like SCARS. It's another platform for us for awareness. There can be no radio silence as it relates to child sexual abuse, and we need as many initiatives as we can get. We need to keep this message alive. In terms of us and the work that we do, live engagement is good because it allows the audience to ask questions, to make comments, even to provide us with encouragement and support. What I love about the live engagement when SCARS is being interviewed by Jamel is just this feeling of safety, this feeling that he gets it. He cares about children. It's a connection.
Welcome back to The Big Show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Oils, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. Folks, please don't forget, if you have not already, go to our website, thedailyhour.com. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Folks, before we went to break, we've got, I did ask if anyone still bought a newspaper, and Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, I know someone younger than me who buys a paper every day. I was shocked, but they said they like the feel of the paper. Okay, love it, love it, love it. Don't let the environmentalists find out about that person. All righty, let's get ready to give a warm TDH welcome to Lisa Reed from the Human Rights Commission. Folks, get your questions and comments ready. But put your hands together. I said, put your hands together. All right, Lisa, happy Wednesday morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome back.
Happy Hump Day, Jamel. So excited to be here with your audience again.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. I got to ask you, before we get into anything, are you still a newspaper purchaser? Like, do you love turning the pages, or are you an online reader?
Online.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's there when I do happen to, so the office, we receive physical newspapers so that we can review them, and it is something about holding a newspaper,
right? Yeah, no, and
the layout.
You know, even with me with books, right? Like everyone keeps saying, just get the online versions. Get the online versions. At first, I was like, were they telling me getting audio since I can't read? Like, were they trying to take shots at me? Then I realized they were like, no, you can get the online version and scroll. But I love turning a book. So maybe I'm old-fashioned too, but I just love turning the pages, that feel. So I get the folks who love the old way. But Lisa, thank you for coming back. Thanks for stopping by. But just for those who may not be familiar, can you just give people a quick reminder of what the Human Rights Commission does and why its work matters to everyday Bermudians?
Absolutely. So first of all, the Human Rights Commission is Bermuda's national human rights institution, which means at the national level, it is the independent body with a legal mandate with the responsibility to protect and promote human rights. And so at its core, our mission is to ensure that every individual is treated with dignity and fairness, regardless of race, sex, disability, religion, sexual orientation, marital status, or any of the other protected grounds. And our work provides the legal framework to investigate complaints of discrimination. We provide education to the public, and we support efforts toward equity and inclusion. And beyond addressing formal complaints, we also work proactively through training, community engagement, and policy guidance to foster a more just and inclusive Bermuda.
I appreciate that. It's a lot of work that you all are doing for sure. And one of the things that we'll discuss now is, your 2024 annual report came out earlier this summer. What stood out to you most from this year's work, and what progress are you most proud of?
So a couple of highlights. So first of all, we received 179 intakes. That basically was a 19% increase from 2023. So we're seeing an increase in intakes. Secondly, disability, sex, and ethnic and national origins were the most commonly reported grounds of discrimination. Another highlight is we held a conference, a human rights conference called What Can I Do? What Can We Do? And that was hosted last March. And it was a free event, and it focused on fostering individual and collective action for human rights in Bermuda. We also acknowledged the extension of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities to Bermuda. And that was signed last September. That was extended from the UK to Bermuda. Which is, again, is a very significant accomplishment for the government, and we acknowledge that. The commission also joined a peace march, and that was held last year on the cabinet grounds, and it coincided with the International Day of Solidarity with the people of Palestine, and that emphasized the need for vigilance in protecting all rights everywhere. We also, and we'll talk more about it in a few minutes, we launched a disability inclusion public consultation. And that consultation was designed to gather insights into the lived experiences of people with disabilities, their families, advocates, service providers, and the like. And I'll share some more about those findings.
Can you just repeat what I missed it because I was trying to take in everything you said. You said the top complaints you received were in what areas?
Disability, sex, and ethnic and national origins. Those were the top three most complained upon grounds of discrimination.
And are you aware, did most of the complaints come from a certain demographic?
So I would need to look back on the report just to get a specific. However, the area most frequently complained within was employment.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I do recall that the split in terms of sex is just slightly more women than men. I think it was like maybe 48, 52%. But just almost even in terms of demographic, in terms of sex. And the majority of complaints were from Bermudians.
Got it. Thank you so much, Lisa. And you just started discussing the commission that you carried out for the consultation on disability inclusion. Just go a bit deeper. What motivated that focus, and why was it so important to tackle that right now?
Well, we were noticing a trend. Since 2018, disability has been one of the most frequently complained upon grounds of discrimination. And so it was important to conduct this public consultation because we needed to hear directly from people with disabilities, their families, and organizations that serve them to better understand their lived experiences and the lived realities. And too often, we recognize that decisions are made without including the voices of those who are most affected. So in 2023, the commission received 150 complaints from the public. Of the 108 protected grounds of discrimination identified in those complaints, 11% were related to disability. And when we look at investigations from that period, 18% involved allegations of disability discrimination. And so these numbers make it clear that despite legal protections that already exist, people with disabilities continue to face significant barriers in Bermuda. And so the consultation allowed us to go beyond the numbers. And so through surveys, focus groups, and public meetings, we gained a deeper understanding of where the barriers are, whether in transportation, employment, public spaces, or access to services, and how people believe they can be removed, how these barriers can be removed. So the process ensured that our recommendations are grounded in real experiences and reflect the priorities of the community that we serve. So ultimately, for us, it's about moving beyond inclusion in law towards inclusion in everyday life.
Indeed. We've got a couple of questions, and I'll get to the questions. Audience, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them through. It's not every day you get to communicate and engage with the executive director or executive officer, sorry, of the Human Rights Commission. We'll get to some of the comments in a second for the clarification that some of you would like. But again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send them through. Lisa, I think this is a conversation whenever we're talking about human rights. I think it's a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of, because every human, right, and their rights. It's something that should be had in silos or in private. But for those who want to make a difference, whether at work, in restaurants, or in public spaces, what are a few simple ways we can all help to create more inclusive environments for people with disabilities?
Well, I'd say that the first and most important is that there needs to be consultation with people with disabilities. So, just as an example, when we held our conference last year, one of the things that so the conference was held at Pier 6, and so we brought to the attention of the Corporation of Hamilton that their bathrooms aren't wheelchair accessible. And even though there was this affirmation that, well, it's to code, in reality, any code that is followed, the local laws, codes through the Department of Planning that they are supposed to enforce, those codes are actually the minimum standard. So even if someone is renovating a bathroom or considering having a public event, and there should be a sign language professional, or where there is printed materials, that printed materials are in various formats, so people with various visual abilities are able to see, whether it's wheelchair access and ramps and those sorts of considerations. We need to ask people with disabilities and a range of disabilities to ensure that they are truly considered as part of whether it's an event or providing a service, or opening a restaurant, anything of that consideration. So asking people and consulting with people with disabilities is a really important factor to ensure that you get it right.
When I used to work in Bermuda tourism, I actually never realized it until I worked in that space. And I've spoken about this on the show before, that some of the people I was trying to sell Bermuda to felt Bermuda wasn't ADA friendly. And I believe that's the American Disability Act. That's what it stands for. But ADA friendly audience just simply means that people with disabilities didn't really have opportunities to enjoy Bermuda like others. And that was a key factor, because these companies that I was trying to attract to Bermuda, they had people who may have had challenges. But here's the question I have for you, Lisa. Because as we were talking about this, and in my response back then, which was very uneducated, because I'm just trying to get people to Bermuda, and I'm just like, well, Bermuda's size prevents us from actually being, accessible for all. Please tell people why that's not an excuse.
Well, first of all, we live in one of the most affluent societies in the world. There is no shortage of investment in infrastructure. No shortage. I think the challenge is that when things are, whether it's renovated or newly built, there seems to be a gap, a significant and serious gap in what should be planned for, and what actually, once it goes through the pipe, what actually the end result is. So that's a huge concern. And again, it comes back to people who are responsible for the built and natural environment. Questions definitely continue to be asked about, and why the pace of inclusion in the built and natural environment is not keeping pace with what we in 2025 expect as a community.
Indeed. Thank you for that. I'll go to the audience. Got a few questions. We've got Philip Schatz. Good morning, Sora Lisa. Can you clarify what you mean by intakes, please?
Good morning, Uncle Phil. Intakes. So intakes are any form of contact with the commission. So if someone wishes to either make a complaint or if they wish to log a query, those are all intakes. And so a query could form the basis of a question from a company where they may be considering instituting a sexual harassment policy or a just a general policy that reflects some sort of human rights consideration. It might be a policy related to the duty to accommodate someone under the reasonable accommodations provisions within the Act. And so they may contact us and ask how can to basically review the policy and to ask if it appears to be compliant with the legislation. So that could be a query, or it could be someone asking a scenario. So someone might propose a scenario and say, I think I might be discriminated against. My employer made comments about my ability to work, and I think it's related to my disability. And so we would talk to the individual and help them to understand the provisions within the Act that do provide protection. Or, as I said, they may actually log a complaint. So that's what forms the base of an intake.
All righty. Let's go back to the audience. We've got Rosalind Famous asking, is there an equivalent of the Americans with Disabilities Act that would give Bermudians the ability to sue institutions that do not meet accessibility requirements?
So our legislation, the Human Rights Act, I would encourage anyone who feels that they are being discriminated against to contact the office. Our number is 295-5859. They can always visit our website at humanrights.bm. But specifically as it relates to the ADA, Section 5 of the Human Rights Act provides that institutions, organizations are not to discriminate. So if you are traveling on public transportation, or if you are trying to access a restaurant, you might have a complaint. So I would encourage anyone who feels that they feel that they're discriminated against to please contact us. And so there are provisions within our existing legislation that provide protection for people based on disabilities in all areas. So whether it's in housing, if you are a tenant with a disability, if you are trying to acquire a house, if you're trying to purchase a house, if you are seeking employment, or if you are employed. And again, if you are seeking services, those protections exist within our legislation.
I love this. I love this conversation. Kiovane says, what, in your opinion, is the most troubling reality right now and in the future for those with disabilities in Bermuda and also Bermudians overseas?
Again, for me, I think it's the pace of if you look around Bermuda, there's always development. And again, it's the lack of pace in compliance with development requirements. That's a huge concern for me. And as it relates to people who live overseas, we know that there are a number of people who have disabilities who live in other jurisdictions because of the lack of accessibility in Bermuda. I know of people who have, whether it's physical and mobility challenges or people with visual impairments, they live in all parts of the world because they are so easily able to access the world without the challenges that we have in Bermuda. And so it's a huge concern. And then the other issue is people in Bermuda, I believe in, as the Disability Inclusion Report will highlight, is that because people aren't able to access Bermuda easily, if you're not able to access transportation, if you're not able to get on a public bus, if you're not able to access all ferry docks, if you're not able to, call on any taxi or an accessible, taxi or any portion of fleet of taxis, that means that you cannot access employment. You cannot easily access educational institutions. You are effectively locked out of society. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, and Miss Allen Kate Horton says there, like, we have purchased several buses recently. How many are wheelchair accessible? That's something that I believe these conversations are for, to make sure that we're thinking of all people when we're doing these things, making these purchases, right?
So, to my knowledge, none of those buses in the fleet of recently purchased buses, are accessible.
Wow, interesting. That just makes the work that you're doing even more important, so that when those responsible for ordering are considering an all-inclusive Bermuda. So thank you. Philip Trott, another question. He says, a lot of my skill sets is web design. Is there a way to advocate for more accessibility in people's websites, or was that included in the 2024 report? I find Bermuda lacking in that area.
That's a great question. So I understand that there are various website compliance sites that give advice on whether or not your website is compliant. And I understand those services can be free. So it would be nothing for an organization today to simply say, let me see if my website is accessible, and that it has the required features that can, whether it's elevate the size of the text or connect effectively with people who may have devices that can read the content on websites. So absolutely, those I definitely know of those tools, and to me, it's a very easy way for organizations to consider, how can we be inclusive and what can I do to turn my head to it by the end of the week.
All right. We've got Key Vernace says, also, what are your findings of the impact of AI automation for those with disabilities?
That's a great question. I think AI is, obviously we continue to monitor AI from the perspective of privacy, because that is a human right as well. But I think that it certainly opens up the field for more inclusivity for people with disabilities and any protected ground. I think it's a way for greater connectivity in terms of accessing information and all sorts of things. So I think that's for sure true. AI is definitely opening things up for us.
All right. Rosalind Famous asking, does the Human Rights Commission have the legal capacity to litigate against institutions that violate accessibility requirements, but also, or is there another organization that has that responsibility?
Rosalind, thanks for that question. As a matter of fact, I think you asked it before and I completely forgot to go back to it. So the Human Rights Commission, the Human Rights Act provides for an independent human rights tribunal. So just so that people understand the process, where someone logs a complaint, they work with an intake officer to understand the complaint and make sure that it falls within our jurisdiction. If it is investigated, and at the end of the investigation stage, it is determined to have merit. So basically, we work with the complainant and the responding parties to determine whether or not the complaint appears to be genuine. It's then investigated. At the end of the investigation, if it appears to have merit, it is referred to a human rights tribunal, and the human rights tribunal makes the determination as to whether or not discrimination actually occurred, and their findings are binding. Their judgments are registered with the Supreme Court, and so yes, parties to a complaint can find resolution through our human rights tribunal, and it is also free. So if the matter is referred to the tribunal, a complainant can receive legal support to carry their case.
All right. Sean Smith's asking, is there any laws in planning that requires new construction be accessible friendly?
So that's a great question. I believe so. I'm not acutely familiar with the planning laws, but I do know that there, for new builds, without question, and even for renovations, there are requirements under their codes. So between their legislation and codes that they are supposed to enforce, yes, the answer is yes. That is absolutely my understanding. And where you witness, where you are witnessing any new builds, the information is available publicly through planning's website. I believe that people can go and look at plans that have been submitted, and so people can ask questions of the Department of Planning, and I would absolutely encourage you to do so. We really have to be, as a community, we have to be vigilant, and it's so the Office of the Human Rights Commission, we're a team of 7, but we are surrounded by an amazing community of people, whether people who are advocates, people who are curious, people who want to know more. We need for more people to advocate for the rights of everyone.
Got it. Beyond inclusion, BDA also said, Sean Smith, anything more than a 50% new build is required by law to meet accessibility standards. Thank you for that. And they also said, such an important discussion to continue having until individuals with disabilities are able to have a true sense of belonging in our community. And that just brings us to the close. I mean, what final message, Lisa, would you like to leave with the public about inclusion, equality, and the role we all play in protecting human rights?
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to say this one thing. Throughout October, the Commission is hosting our lunchtime presentation. So I would encourage your listening audience to tune in. If you could go to our website, humanrights.bm, or contact us at 295-5859. Someone can register for you for those presentations. And most importantly, I would say that everyone has a responsibility to protect the rights of all of us. And so where you see something, contact our office or contact the offending organization. It's just really important that we monitor and continue to uphold the rights of everyone. And so again, these are not niceties. These are legal requirements. And it's a moral imperative that we ensure the rights of others are protected.
Lisa, thank you so much. And I'll just I'll share one last comment. Hannah C. said, I would love to see universal design principles implemented across the board in Bermuda: menus, signage, websites, housing, transportation, government departments. What helps one helps everyone. Speak of the importance in all that she just said.
That's great what she said, because it's true. It's across the board. And if we're thinking about disability inclusion, all of the advances that have been made as it relates to disability inclusion. So where the buildings have a ramp, that helps people with children with strollers. That helps people with mobility challenges. That might help a senior who has a walker. So by ensuring universal design across the board, it's helping us all. We all benefit. We all benefit.
Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone at your office for joining us for these most important community conversations. I think what we have to remember, there are so many different things within human rights that impact us all on a daily basis, or someone you know. So I think these conversations, no matter how often, are always important. And that's why I encourage people to help us beat the algorithms by sharing these conversations. So thank you to you and everyone who supports the work you do. And we look forward to the next one.
That's definitely. Thanks, Jamel.
All righty, Lisa Reed, folks, Human Rights Commission. Folks, if you've appreciated that conversation, if you're streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you help us beat the algorithm so that everyone you know has access to these most important community conversations as possible. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back with a daily play. The hip hop heads Hopefully you get this question right. Stick with us.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal, cost-effective risk management cover to help protect your business, whether it be cyber, directors and officer liability, professional indemnity, or property insurance. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our full suite of competitive corporate insurance products. At Friesenbrook, we provide insurance you can count on.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC. Bermuda business starts here.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need. From top quality foods to toys and supplies, we've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
PALS is a cancer care charity. We started 45 years ago. What started as a charity with a half-time nurse, and basically just assisting patients going home from the hospital, but patients dying at home. We now, 45 years later, have 6 nurses, a social worker, and a palliative care physician. I know a lot of people that watch the Daily Hour every day, so it's just educational. It helps you know more about specific charities or specific organizations, and kind of get the nitty gritty as opposed to just seeing a flyer on social media or just hearing or seeing a commercial. I think it's more beneficial. Like if I'm on the radio or on TV, I'm just like telling you what I think you want to know. But you might have specific questions that I can answer directly. I think it's much better having the live engagement.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Jamal Hartman here. Thanks again to Lisa Reed and everyone at the Human Rights Commission for trusting this platform to have such important community conversations. Also, big shout out and thanks to our partners, the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and of course HSBC Bermuda, also for ensuring we can pump through the radio airwaves on a regular basis with these most important community conversations. All right, folks, if you haven't already, please, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, just give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. It's time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, it's music today. It is music today, and we're sticking with hip hop. Audience, what couldn't Missy Elliott stand? All right, Philip Trot got it right. You know that hit, folks. I can't stand the rain. Yeah, that one. The rain. Yeah. Philip Trott got it first. Cherie Dill was in business. Stacy Ann Brown in business. Philip Trott is singing the song for you now, folks, specifically on her window. Yep. The rain, Nicole Walker, and Suzanne Ingham said, I don't have a clue, Jamal. Yeah, a little hip hop for you, folks. I can't stand the rain on my window. All right, let's wrap it up. As far as the earlier discussion regarding what Bermuda can do as far as their immigration and work visa policies to take advantage of Trump's attack on the H-1B visa program. I think it's an opportunity, folks. I think there's an opportunity. Whenever others give you an opportunity, it's important to study whether it makes sense. The H-1B visa program beneficiaries could add value to Bermuda, but also our focus, and I agree with most people, should be about training Bermudians to that standard and getting our Bermudian workforce to a standard where we can actually bring more Bermudians back home and not see as many emigrate outside of Bermuda. So interesting conversation, but I do wonder if our government is actually looking at things that could benefit us from the situations going on outside of Bermuda. As it relates to the conversation with Lisa Reed, I'm grateful. I really am grateful for conversations like that because it helps us, I guess, brainstorm about how we can make sure Bermuda is better for everyone we love, everyone in our community. Like I said, I didn't even realize Bermuda wasn't as accessible until I worked in tourism, and it was one of the biggest complaints that we had. In the United States, I'm glad Rosalind mentioned it, that ADA Act is very, very real and serious, and you build something, it has to be ADA friendly. So there was a particular hotel in Bermuda where it was hard to get around, like, not elevator friendly, property wasn't accessibility friendly. So I get the concerns, and I really hope that groups like Beyond Inclusion and the Human Rights Commission continue to do the work to educate, because people, truthfully, if it doesn't impact you directly, you don't even think about it. And that's just normal in our community. So thank you to the work they're doing, and hopefully more of you will go on their website and support their efforts in trying to create a more inclusive Bermuda. All right, daily inspiration. I'll leave you with this. Just because you don't believe it impacts you today doesn't mean that it won't someday. Get involved, make a difference, and find a way to create a better community for all in your space. All right, folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are is out. Peace.